Guys, so I'm here to talk to you about creating a story, creating a narrative rather, between you and a girl. So, narrative is basically how, the story of a couple, right? You know how, like, when a couple says, oh, this is how we met, this is how I met him, this is how I met her. Now, for example, you ever see like a Disney movie when they say, I met this person, they bumped into me and made me drop my wallet, and I dropped my purse and he helped me pick it up, and then I looked up at him and then I just knew it was a love at first sight, right? Basically, narrative is the story between two people that makes them that makes that thing that's their story. For example, with one of the girls that I talked to, we stopped talking a long time ago, but we started talking again. And one thing that she told me was I was the only guy that she ever loved, or at least came close to loving. So whenever I see her, I always joke, this is a running joke. Well, it's not a joke because it's true. Now, there's a song by Avant, I believe it is, by an R&B singer named Avant, and it's called My First Love. And whenever, sometimes when I'm with her, if the song comes on, I might play it, or if I see it on like my shuffle, I'll play the song. So the running narrative between me and her is she's my first, I'm her first love, right? And clearly she loves me now, and she's admitted that, because we reconnected after some years, and it's still the story. I'm her first love, and I'm the only guy she's ever truly loved. And because of that, and I think she lost her virginity and right before me, with one guy before me, and she lost her virginity rather late. I think she was like 19, almost I want to say 21, 20 maybe. And at the time, I was the second guy she'd been with, right? So in between, we stopped talking. She's been with other guys, but I was her first love. And since then, she's never loved anyone else. So the running story between us is that I'm her first love, and basically I'm one of the only guys that she's ever loved. So sometimes with her, I'll talk shit, and I'll say, I'm her first love. Now, if we were to go around people and we were to have like, a dinner night with friends, they'd be like, so what made you guys come together? Why are you guys together now? Well, I'll be like, well, I'm her first love. And apparently her only one too. So that's the narrative. That's our story, right? Like when couples are married, they say, this is how we met, and we have this commonality. So, and obviously I love her, but I haven't told her. Listen, it's okay to love guys, but if you do love her, don't fucking tell her. And if you do tell her, make sure it's months later. I don't want to get into that. That's a whole other story. But anyway, more examples on narrative to make this clear. So basically, what a narrative is a commonality, right? Obviously, I care about her. We care about each other, but that's the narrative for her. And I made that narrative something for us. I told her I loved her in the past, so she knows. I just haven't told her again recently. Now, basically, how you control the narrative is you find a commonality between you two and you get excited. So recently, so I got to stay sharp, right? And the only reason I really talk to other girls here and there is because I'm giving you guys game. I got to approach. I can't be giving games to hundreds and even hundreds of thousands of guys, and I'm faking the funk. I got to stay sharp on my game. So talking to this girl, actually pretty white girl too. I don't really usually go for white girls, but I don't discriminate on anything. If she's exceptional, she's exceptional. If she's a pretty girl, then it doesn't matter what her race is. I'm going to talk to her. If the bitch was green, I'd probably talk to her. If she was green and had a fat ass with green eyes, I'd probably talk to her. If she looked like She-Hulk but was bad as fuck, I'd probably fuck her, right? But that's not the point. The point is, it's a pretty ass white girl. And so she just DM'd me on Instagram, and that happens a lot. I get a lot of DMs. I don't always talk to all of them because some of them I'm just not interested in. I see their profile, see what they're about, or maybe I'm just not attracted to them. So I responded, and I said, "Hey, what's up?" And so we started talking. Obviously, you guys know the routine. Don't text for too long. Get her on the phone. I got her on the phone. We were talking. She called me back later that day, and I asked her, "So what made you DM me on Instagram randomly?" She was like, "Well, she said, I think I saw your profile on one of the dating apps or something like that." And then she said, "I saw you had your Instagram there, and you said that you're never on the app. You said you're barely on there, so I thought I'd decide to message you." And when she said, "I saw you had a lot of followers, and I didn't think you were going to respond," but I did, and which also conveys a little higher value. You got to use the Instagram to your advantage. And she said that I saw you like to travel, which is I also put that in my bio on the apps, right? So she was like, "Oh, that's a wrap." And she's a nurse. Now, if you know anything about nurses, they work like 3 days a week, and then they have a lot of time off, and they have a pretty good salary. So because they have a pretty good salary, they usually do a lot of traveling. She was like, "Oh, that's a commonality." And I saw that, and then I saw your page, and I saw all the other places you travel to. I was like, "Oh, it's a wrap. That's pretty much right up my alleyway." So that is a narrative which we can build off of, right? And then when we were talking on the phone, I did talk about that, and we did talk about that. We talked about how we want to travel, which places we want to go, how soon we're going to be traveling, what's the next trip we're traveling on. And that was kind of a narrative for us because that's something we have in common. Now, you can build on that, but the thing with narrative, don't push it, because if you try to lead with narrative, and you don't really, and you try to say, oh my God, I have the same thing in common too. Oh my God, me too, me too, me too. If you turn into a me too motherfucker, you're conveying lower value. Then she's going to think she's better than you because you're fiending and you're overzealous and really eager to have this type of narrative. If you say, "Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I like to travel too. I actually just came from this place. I'm going this place this month and next month, and I'm going that place and this place," right? And then you build the narrative organically, but keep it in the back of your mind because this is something that it's going to be reoccurring and you're going to bring it up again, but not too much. You don't want to overdo it. Just plant the seed. Now, another thing that we had in common, and I made a conversation sexual, but I did it the right time. I did it the right way. There was another girl I was gaming last week, but I did a lot of flirting, but I made it too sexual and she got uncomfortable. And we did have a date set up for today, but we didn't meet up, and that's fine because I got options out the ass, right? And I actually got Shorty coming over right now at fucking 2:30 in the morning. So, but that's not the point. The point is, so we were talking about sex, and I learned that who she was sexually was a perfect match for who I am and how I got into it. So this is a perfect segue for bringing up sexual tension and bringing sexual tension conversations. So what I said was, I was like, yeah, I've been single and I've been dating. And, I say, one of the things that I hate about dating is you finally talk to a person, you like their personality, and they can't kiss. Oh my God. Now, kissing is not a big sexual topic, but it's like a gateway. It's something that leads to it. So I said, oh my God, this girl could not kiss. And then she had a freakishly long tongue. Now, the long tongue is cool. I'm not bad, but it was like she was so aggressive. She was super aggressive. She was just like tongue down my throat, being really like intense. I'm just like, whoa, calm down. And then being intense sometimes is cool. And this is what I'm saying to her. Being intense sometimes is cool and getting caught up in the moment, but you tonguing me down right away. Let's start slow. Don't just jump your tongue in there. Start it slow and then get some tongue. And then she was like, yeah, no, I get that. Like, I get that. Like, some people just are super aggressive. She's like, I feel like some guys are super aggressive in the wrong way sometimes. But she was talking about like trying to like force her to have sex and she's not ready. I was like, no, I agree. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm just mean like this girl was just like super aggressive and her tongue was super long. And having a long tongue was, I'm not going to lie, it was a bit intriguing, but jumping it down my throat was a bit too much. And then she took the bait. And she took the bait because she was like, well, I can understand how having a long tongue can work in other places. And I was like, no, trust me, it did. And I was like, because this is a girl I made from the past tense. I was like, maybe I was talking to her in February. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to lie, it did. But it was just like with her, I like to kiss sometimes. And it was whatever I do, but it doesn't, it's not like, oh, it's just a thing that I want to do all the time, right? And I was like, well, I had to teach her how to kiss. And this is true. Some girls I do have to teach how to kiss because they just be too aggressive. I'm like, oh, slow down. And I had to like start slow, and then we got into it. Now, I told her there's nothing wrong with intense kissing, but I had to control the situation. And then from there, sex conversation was flooded. I was like, wait, we don't have to talk about this if you're uncomfortable. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. She's like, oh, no, it's fine. I like talking about it. Next thing you know, I learned a whole bunch of stuff. I just learned a lot. And this conversation got really sexual. And long story short, she likes to be really submissive, and I like to be really dominant. And there's little things that she likes, and there's a lot of little things that I like. And just for example, like slapping and choking, right? I'm not going to get to detailed conversation. She says she might like that. So that is something that, how you build the narrative. Now I'm building the narrative with this girl, and that's a commonality. So we can take that and while I'm telling her how I am sexually, she was like, oh my God, finally she's literally said that finally someone who's aggressive and dominant and just a dominus in the bedroom, right? And she's just like, oh my God, like finally some guys get so intimidated when I tell them that I like this, that, and the third, right? And she's just like, oh wow, like this is great. And then after we had that sexual conversation, I brought it back and I talked about something else to build comfort, because you don't want to make things completely sexual and just get off the phone. And I brought it back, and then we started talking about things that's non-sexual, started building comfort and talking about that. So then now the conversation started off normal and regular, and then I made it sexual, covertly, and then we brought it back to regular conversation. So this way it's not just super sexual. And I made that mistake with the last girl that I was gaming. We were supposed to meet up and she flaked, but that's fine because girls will flake on you, but you have to be compelling. You have to want to make them want to hang out with you, right? And what I did was I over-sexualized things. And because I over-sexualized things, what you got to understand, it could be a risk. She could be putting herself at risk of me being over-sexual, her giving into it, her compromising herself. So I get that, and that's fine. You have to be understanding of those things. You can't always take it to heart, but there is ways to go around it. So with that being said, building in a narrative is building a commonality between you two. So with that last girl that I mentioned, for example, there was two narratives. One, we both like to travel. Two, we both high sex drive, extremely sexual. And we like certain things that are like a yin and yang match, right? So I can build that narrative. So next time I go on a date with her, or if we go on a date, I'll be like, well, yeah, I did set up a date, but you never know. Something might come up, I might have to cancel. But if we don't, the narrative I will build with her is, oh wow, like I'm sorry, I'm just keep thinking about like, damn, like that's crazy. We can really like travel together. You like traveling. And like, damn, like I know it's a little early. We don't want to jump into like taking a trip together, but I just think about like maybe us taking a trip to a nice island or a nice place. And then like, I feel like we're on the same wavelength sexually. And then we can go on a nice trip and have all these sexual adventures. That would just be awesome. And honestly, that like if your personality matches, and because I haven't really drawn a conclusion, and that's something that I'm going to say to her, because you don't really want her, you don't want her knowing where she's at with you. And you say, well, if your personality is great, then that would be something just great to look forward to. And now I'm building the narrative, you understand, a commonality but between you two, but you don't want to force it, because if you force it, you're coming off lower value, and you'd be like, oh wow, like I have a client, and I'm sorry, I didn't think, it's just so many things that he didn't do to get to this point. But one thing, he has a best friend he's trying to game, and he goes to the gym with her. He can build a narrative with her. Like, it's so dope that we go to the gym together, and like we both have that in common, because so many girls don't like to work out. And there are girls, but you could just build in so many girls I know don't like to work out and don't like to take care of themselves. Like, that's really dope, like that we have that in common. Like, I really fucks with you because that, nice work, champ. And then like punch her in the chin, like, you know what I'm saying? But that's Chewy, that's for you. You can build narrative. But you gotta, there's a lot of other things that guys gotta do. They gotta fucking build sexual tension. You guys are afraid to build sexual tension. Mad shit. The point is, build narrative. You control the narrative. You control the story between you two like that. But it's strategic and it's thinking. And this is advanced game. And it can turn to dark game. because, obviously it's all manipulation, but build the narrative. All right? Key. This is key shit, man.